Well, there must have been a famine on somewhere, because we were just letting our midday meals go down when the vicar called with some envelopes. He breezes in, anorak and running shoes, and he says, "I love coming to this house, Mrs. Whittaker." Oh, he's got the idea she's deaf. But she's not. In fact, that's one of the few things she isn't. He says, "Do you know why? Because you two remind me of Jesus and his mother." Well, I always thought Jesus was a bit offhand with his mother. And on one occasion, I remember him being quite snotty with her, but I didn't say anything. Of course, Madam's over the moon. In her book, if you can't be compared to the Queen Mother, the Virgin Mary is the next best thing. She says, "Are you married, Vicar?" Asks him every time, never remembers. He says, "No, Mrs. Whittaker. I'm married to God." She says, "Oh, where does that leave you with all your housework?" He says, "How are you today, Mrs. Whittaker?" She says, "I'm stiff down one side." I say, "Yeah, she had a fall yesterday." No, I didn't." "Yes, you did." "No, I did not." "You did, Mother. You had a fall, then you ran into Mr. Turnbull." "Oh, yeah, that's right. So I did." And then she starts rooting in her handbag for lipstick. She says, "What are those?" He says, These are my training shoes." "Training shoes? Training for what? I thought you were fully qualified." "No, Mrs. Whittaker," he says. "If Jesus were alive today, I assure you, these are the types of shoes he'd be wearing." "Not if his mother had anything to do with it," she says. "She'd have him downstead and Simpson's for a good pair of brogues." The vicar then takes that as a reason to start talking about all these people who don't have any shoes via this famine in Ethiopia. I end up forking out 50p, which he says will feed a family of 4 for 6 weeks, and all she has to say to that is, "Oh, that could have got me some Quality Street." As he's going, he says, "Graham, I take my hat off to you. I've got a mother." And when I go back in, she says, "Vicar, he looks more like a paper boy. How are you supposed to look up to somebody in pumps?" And just then there's a knock at the door. She says, "Oh, get down, he's come back." Except he hadn't. It was Mr. Turnbull.